Yes. Good evening, Lagos 90.3 Voice of the People FM 228. Learning the time well. This subtraction and addition when it comes to time check. Okay, so it's 28 minutes pursuing the 7 p.m. mark. Welcome to the Evening Rush, Lagos. This is 90.3 Voice of the People FM, and you know how we do it on the Evening Rush. We get to bring you up to speed with some big stories, big stuffs that we have been talking about. And for those who've been wondering, okay, so you know that Labour Party and PDP have been saying we cannot see the president-elect to hand him over our petition. And now they have seen him. They've handed over the petition. Have you rested now? Okay. So let's wait for the courts to do their job, right? Welcome to the Evening Rush. So as usual, we'll bring you up to speed with stories that you have been talking about. But today, a major focus will be on the G5. Some people will say that should be men, I should be boys, I should be men. And some people will say, the rise and fall of the G5 that. And some will say, okay, so this is like the G5 having a comeback. You know how David just released a new album now that is like a major comeback. That may just be the story. So we'll chronicle and we'll look at, everything surrounding it. Because you know that you very well recall that the resident electoral commissioner for Abia State, Professor Ninanaya Oti, had made a comment that looked like an allegation. How she was intimidated, she was almost cajoled, bribed to alter the election results, but she insisted, because of her integrity, she ensured that the will of the people will stand, that the people's mandate must stand. However, the governor of Abia State, Mr. Kize Ikpazu, has now reacted to that. Would have to look for voice sound bites of both of them to bring to you so you understand exactly what we're talking about. He's reacted to it. He said, I never even see her before. I never meet her before. I don't even know who she is. So how would I have probably tried to bribe her and all of that? So, but before we delve into all that very fully, I can't be doing all of this story alone because I'm not a story woman, even though I know I talk for a living. My name is Precious Inye, just in case I have not said my name. And I'm being produced by Promise. And I have a very special guest in the house this evening with me, Mr. Olahan Olojide, the man that wears many caps, by the way. So he's a fine financial expert. And then he's also a great political analyst. I like to do politics with him. And I also like to count the figures with him too. But today we'll be talking politics. Mr. Olahan, good evening and welcome.
Yeah, good evening. Nice to be here, Precious.
Thank you so much for joining us. Has anyone told you you have a really good voice on radio?
Some people said it. I remember when I was in banking, there was one beautiful morning as I was going into my office. A lady came out of the branch and said, excuse me, if you don't mind, can I say something? You have a good voice already. And I said, for real? He said, have you ever thought about something in broadcasting? I said, how much do they pay?
How much do they pay? You cannot be taking a swipe at my job. You cannot take it. This is an open swipe on my job.
It wasn't an open swipe.
Precious, how much are you worth?
No. I was genuinely interested because, I could have crossed over. But, banking was really sweet in those years. So, for me to consider changing, I want to know the numbers. And the numbers will have been a very big factor. But over time, I still ended up doing what I'm doing right now, which apart from finance include lending this same voice.
Your voice.
To.
So you really do have a very good voice on radio.
Thank you for that compliment.
I've been in radio long enough to
acknowledge
and identify good voices when I hear one. Even though your story is almost like mine. Growing up, while I was a child, I used to be a talker. I talk. I'm a chatter. How did you know? I'm a chatterbox. So my dad used to, God bless his memory now, my dad used to do something with us when we were young. After school, when he comes back home, he would like us to tell him, narrate what happened in school every evening, So tell me, so what all happened in school today? And they will narrate. Don't call Precious, because I'll finish in 2 seconds. I'll finish in 2 seconds. And, so when he now calls me to start, but before you say Jack Robinson, I'm done, he just stays, listens to me. And he says, are you done? He says, yeah. I say, come. I come. My favorite position is to put my head on his body.
Correct.
So that drum sound that comes out when you rest on somebody's, when you hear someone speak from his bosom.
Yes.
So I put my
that's an
body on that.
interesting thing to know.
So I put my head on his bosom, and he starts clapping. 2, 3. Now start talking with the beat of
the clap. Wow.
And it's so difficult. You know how difficult it is for anyone who's a fast talker to slow pace with that kind of thing. So that usually gets to me a lot. And then sometimes when he listens to people talk on radio, be like, all these people talking this news. Stop talking on radio. Stop shapping mouth up. And don't worry, my daughter is coming up. She will deal with you. She will give you guys a run for your money. And I was only in primary school at that time. I wasn't even a thing then.
But he saw something.
I don't know what he saw.
Which has played out.
Yeah. So, and then again, I got into the university. It was like everywhere. In fact, from my year 1, everyone says, you should be on radio. You should be on radio. You should be. I didn't even know I had, a thing for radio.
Radio voice.
And then from my year 2, I just kick-started, and till now, here we go. So quite a similar story. Well done. So great voice there. Please make use of it.
I appreciate it.
Please keep making use
I
of
must find a way to make money with it.
Please do make money with it. That's the most important thing. I can't do any job that I can't talk. So I just discovered that I cannot calculate. I can't sit at a place. I'm restless. So I must talk to make money. That's my thing. It's what I'm good at. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Evening Rush 90.3.
Thanks for having me,
Voice
Precious.
of the People FM. So just before we delve into the topic that we're talking about, what do you make of the fact that the president-elect has now received his petition by Atiku and the other two presidential,
the other two people who are challenging the result of the election? Pretty good. They had to go back to the court when they couldn't serve him.
Yes.
And it's also understandable. He might be everywhere. Alenti has been out of the country anyway.
Okay.
And the court said, you don't have to serve him. There's indirect, there's a substituted service. That's what they call it. Okay. So instead of giving it to him, you give it to his party. And since the party has an office, it's a matter of taking those papers and serving it on the APC headquarters in Abuja.
That is as good as serving him.
And that is as good as service.
And that's what they did.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Okay. Was it necessary though for them to go back to the courts?
To tell the court?
Yes, to tell the court. Or would they have just taken that initiative?
Once the court did not hear back from them, the court knew they've served.
Okay.
Great. So the court would just be expecting the feedback from there's a technical, I'm forgetting my law. I did a lot of law in accounting school.
Don't ask me. I did a lot of law too, but don't ask me.
There's a word they call that thing that's when you respond to what you have received.
Yeah.
You enter an appearance or something like that.
I can't remember now. All right, so let's go straight into the G5 governors. You and I have chronicled their stories over time in different platforms. Yeah. So we're back at it again. We know the story of the G5 governors, how they started and the agitation. By the way, Ayu has finally left.
Ayu has left.
Ayu has left. Can you bring us...
Well, you might say it is temporary, but I think it is permanent.
Okay. So before we start delving into their story properly, can you bring us up to speed, with the entire story? Okay.
It has been a very, I would say, torturous journey for PDP as a party. And it started with the issue of determining who will be the candidate of the party for the presidency.
That was the crux of all this matter.
That was where it all started. And the initial understanding with PDP, I even believe it was probably part of the constitution. I cannot lay claim to have read the constitution of PDP, but I think I've heard members alluded to the fact that there is an element of rotation within the party constitution.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
I think I was able to confirm that when I interviewed top officials of the party. There is an element of rotation. It's enshrined in their constitution. So if you look at the way it happened from southwest, it went to the west and then to the south, which probably was not a thing at that time, but it was luckily a thing, as coincidental as it may look. And then, so it was expected that it moves to another region.
It was expected that it moves to another region. Now, there's a little bit of problem right there. You see, the president, the current president, is from the north.
Yes.
So ordinarily, the next president we will expect should be from the south.
But the president is not a PDP member.
Exactly. That is where the problem is. And that is what people like Atiku capitalize upon.
But again, people like Atiku helped this president rise to fame.
Definitely.
So
don't forget that.
So remember that's where people like Wike will say, oh, after all, you helped this man come into power. Did you not know he was a northerner?
You see, Atiku is a representative of what partisan politics is in Nigeria. In terms of how many parties he has been to. Atiku started as a PDP man.
I had to excel.
From PDP, he went to ACN. From ACN, he went back to PDP. From PDP, he went back to APC. From APC to PDP.
Did you even look at his 1993?
I don't want to talk about all the
pre-democracy,
all those things where he has been, And when you look at a person, it represents what party is in Nigeria. A political party in Nigeria as of today is still essentially just a platform for seeking political ambition.
Not an ideology.
Not an ideology.
Ew.
So when one party doesn't give you that platform, you just simply cross over to the party that will give you the platform. As a matter of fact, I could have taken a bet that if Atiku did not win the PDP primaries in this last election, he would have been in another party as we speak to you.
Are you serious?
That is the reality. If he had lost that election and maybe Wike was the one that won, I can assure you would have been in another party.
If he had lost the primaries.
If he had lost that primaries. If he had lost that primaries.
Why is it easily predictable anyway?
It's not just about him. It's about the fact that we do not have parties that are strong enough along ideological linings or leanings. We don't have them. So even when you look around, you see elements of that all across. The current chairman of APC was a stalwart of PDP.
Right. So all of this thing, is it a good thing to our democracy?
It is a horrible thing.
What does it mean to our democracy?
It is a horrible thing. What it means is that there are no ideological leanings for these parties. So you cannot, unlike when you go say the UK and you say the Labour Party, there are certain things they are known for. The Conservative, if you go to America and you hear of the Democrat and the Republican. In fact, an average politically conscious Nigerian can speak about what to expect when a Republican Party is in power in America.
I understand that.
Exactly.
Why some people are saying, okay, we're not so surprised Kamala Harris did not come to Nigeria. Anyway, we were not ready to give in to some rights.
You know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
But when you take that back to Nigeria, you find out that what can you say? Where does I can say taxes now? I can tell you where Democrat Party stands on issues of taxes and where Republicans stand. In Nigeria, I don't know where PDP or APC stands on matters of taxes.
But in all of this, something that interests me now that you're saying this, in all of this, we realize that irrespective of their political ideologies, they do not joke with things that has to do with their security and, the overall, the national security of the country and the economy of the country. So it looks like they don't play politics with those. But
counties in America, these are
like local government areas.
Like local government. And these people are trying to determine, looking into 10 years ahead, where should the playgrounds be? The schools, how many schools are we going to require? Where should they be located?
Countries already know what their population should be in the nearest future.
We don't even know what we are right now. How do we want to know?
So they have an idea of what the immigration level will be, what their reproductive level will be.
Exactly.
So they have all that prospects.
So Mr. Gbolahan, are you saying that politics in Nigeria is all about personal interests for the politicians?
Exactly. Personal interest is like 80% of everything.
Wow.
And then after they have spoken about personal interest, they can go to, the interest of my party, the interest of Nigeria, the interest. So you can start.
The interest of Nigeria has to come last.
Unfortunately.
Now speaking of personal interest, let's look at the personal interest or the interest that have driven PDP to where it is now, because a lot has happened. What played down in the primaries that led to the likes of Kwankwaso Xing PDP, that led to Peter Obi Xing PDP, that led to the G5 governors revolting against their own parties and physically working against their party during the presidential election,
which eventually led to the defeat of PDP in this.
So can we talk about those interests?
You see, look at the eastern part of the country. It used to be a stronghold of PDP. Normally, PDP will have cleared all the five
eastern states.
PDP lost
usually a walk in the park for them.
The 5 states. lost it to a breakaway political leader, Peter Obi, who left PDP for Labour and took with him those 5 parties.
Let's take a break there. I'd like to get your reaction on that. Did people really see Peter Obi coming that big with Labour Party? Or is it a Peter Obi thing now, or is it a general Labour Party thing? Because we saw that it did not just happen during the presidential election. It almost metamorphosed into the governorship and Houses of Assembly elections. So I'd like you to help us x-ray that.
You see, the Peter Obi phenomenon was a very timely. It is still there. Don't let me use words. It's a very timely thing. We have a nation that is yearning for change. People are disillusioned. And when people are disillusioned, they do not see people that they have put in the cast of establishment people as being able to provide those kind of change that they wanted. So they did one experiment 8 years ago when the current president campaigned on this toga of change. And it didn't, most people say they didn't see the change.
It looks like it was changed more like an opposite direction.
You know, so we're talking of the disillusioned people who do not trust these establishment people. So they were looking for a hero. It was a search for a hero. And in that search for a hero, you have Peter Obi walk into that search. And that was it. Before that, since 2020, since the EndSARS protest, I was one of the people who have done a bit of canvassing with the young people to say, look, as far as politics is concerned, it is a game of numbers. You people have the numbers. Stop staying at a distance from politics. Because we say we're a democratic society. In democracy, leadership is not obtained on the street. It is obtained at the ballot. That was what we were saying all of that time. And for those who campaigned along that line, they were rewarded with the fact that the young people started to show interest. So look, we have the numbers. We can come in there and make a difference. So Peter Obi's here, I said he walked into that search for a hero. It also, these young people who were also looking for a hero found it in him. So they gravitated in numbers towards the Obi dream. And that was it. And we saw how that played out in the last election. So it became the Obi factor that initially people were saying. In fact, I remember a big politician said, it's Andrew Liver Salt. It would just, how Andrew Liver Salt will bubble.
I remember that was said in Chatham House. Don't remind us. It was said in Chatham House.
But by the time
and that bubble won election in a northern state too.
What are we talking about?
So did they not see that? What happened?
That bubble, the person who even talk about Andrew Liver Salt had one state. Only one state. That Andrew Liver Salt won 11 states plus the FCT. If you take FCT as a state, you won 12 states. Whereas the big wigs who have been in this business for so many years did not win more than 12 states as well. So it shows, which for me, is part of the winnings of this particular season that we have lost sight of by virtue of the grievances. Some things change in this 2023 elections, but we apparently therefore been swept under the wave of the grievances that accompanied that election. So nobody is even talking about them. That was one of the things that changed. You see, right from when Atiku, because of that gap, the Northerner could now say, after all, that president that was there is not from our party. Therefore, I can contest as a Northerner. As a matter of fact, in my own party, the last president was a Southerner. So maybe we should be talking of rotating it back to the north.
So that we'll continue from where we stopped.
Unfortunately,
which, by the way, you exited the party and also pushed for that person from that
to win.
To win.
Yeah. what some people in that party were banking on is the kind of numbers that comes from the north. They are also conscious of the fact that the core north is very sensitive to certain things. One of it,
ethnicity,
religion especially. There were some years in the past when Buhari would not even bother to come to the south, and he would still deliver like 9 million, 10 million votes just from those same states. Though we know that there were all sort of tricks with how those numbers are done around that time.
Talking about numbers, are you shocked at the numbers that you saw? From
less than 25 million.
I'm just wondering that you saw. No, not even just that one, especially in the Kardashian states, like we call them. So the KKK
they
states
suddenly shrunk dramatically.
See, Kaduna shocked us. We had almost less than 1 million votes. See, Kaduna should be carrying theirs in a lorry.
And Kano used to have more than 5 million votes, right?
So what did that surprise you really from the north?
It did. Because I had always thought that those numbers, we saw similar numbers though, even in the south. In Rivers State, in Akwa Ibom, who delivered more than 1 million votes.
Rivers State should have been 1-point-something million.
In 2019, I believe. More than 1 million votes in those places. And we saw the numbers that it all shrunk to. It is Beavers, so. It is Beavers that is the number one issue that stopped that. You see,
so there was proper accreditation of people now. In fact, there were human beings who voted now.
You have to be a human being before you can vote. Of course, there were other issues about voter intimidation in some part and others, but the reality with Beavers is that you have to exist
to get accredited.
If you don't exist, you can't use any other person's identity. So we were able to solve the problem of identity using Beavers. You must exist before Beavers can accredit you. In fact, some of the heroism that we have seen were enabled by the Beavers. An example of an heroism that we have seen is the Abia State election. That heroism that we speak about today was made possible by Beavers. In Obingwa, the number of accredited voters were not more than 30,000. There was little anybody could do. How are you going to manufacture the number when Labour Party was already leading by about 90,000? So what are you going to do?
So Mr. Bolahu, interestingly, exactly the scenario played out in 2015 with the same Alex Oti and the same Ikbazu.
Obingwa, right?
But they would have been able to manufacture numbers.
And only Obingwa changed and turned around the votes.
Something thousand. They had 80-something thousand votes
in 2019. Just 80. The bringing off of the manufacturing, I want to say.
Now it is manufacturing now.
Changed the game
because
against
there was
Alex
something
then.
called incidence form. And people who could not be accredited, they will have their name put on the incident form. They will give them the ballot and they can vote and they can count those ballots. In this particular election, if you cannot be accredited by Beavers, you cannot vote. As simple as that. So the manufacturing of figures stopped. And we can also extend what happened to what must have been happening in the so-called Kardashian state, to what happened in Rivers and Akwa Ibom, in even Delta, almost delivered 1 million too in 2019.
So do we say that this election, gave us something to hold on to?
It gave us something to hold on to and to build upon. Let me give you another thing that we probably didn't notice. In 2019 or in previous elections, since we started using PVC, when you're going to be accredited to vote in 2019, they will collect your PVC. They will put it on that machine. It's called a card reader. So it will read your card and you'll be able to get accredited. It will identify, this guy is this, In 2023, nobody needed that PVC because accreditation was done by Beavers.
As a human being.
Your biometrics is your identity. You do not need a card to identify you. You need
card from anywhere to identify.
You see, so what we saw this year was that we did not even need to have printed those cards. Don't forget that those.
So that means people with temporary cards would have as well voted.
They should have voted. The identity has moved away from card to biometrics.
So why did INEC insist that people with temporary cards, which by the way wasn't their fault, shouldn't vote?
Because there could be several reasons. It could be a simple, how do I call it? The way we find it difficult to detach from the past. The reality doesn't easily reveal itself to people. Let me give you an example. Even in the private sector, when I was in banking, I remember working in business transformation in one of the banks where I worked before. And one of the duties that I was charged with was to reduce the number of registers. This was in several years ago. So you go to the CSO desk, you find out that he has about, some CSO have almost 50 different registers that they keep. Account opening register, savings account register, current account register, check release register, all sort of registers that they keep.
Domiciliary account register.
And I remember vividly an engagement that I had with a CSO. I said, this your account open register, what do you use it for? He said he records all the accounts that are open in a day. And you can see it there. You see the date, then the name of the account holder, the account number, everything is put in that register. I said, but when I log on to my system, I could also generate the same report. So why do you need this register? Because if you want to know all the accounts that you opened yesterday, you just go to your system, and your system will list all those accounts and their numbers and their account name. It will list them for you. So why do you still have this register that you keep? So essentially, sometimes we may not remember when a particular thing that we're used to has become useless, and we may hang on to it. The alternative or some other explanation is to say it is money for the boys. It is a contract. People will print those things and the money will be made. It is a possibility that somebody probably noticed that, wait, with these beavers that we have done, nobody needs this card any longer. But then, you print card now, you spend money, and it's okay. And it could be seen as an additional identification card for Nigerians. You can take your voter's card to go and open an account, for example.
Okay. All right. So let's dig further into this PDP crisis.
Yes.
After the primaries and all of that, or let's just sometime within the primaries too. So just like we had chronicled, or you had helped us run through, one of the major issues was the fact that the PDP ticket was left open for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to contest.
Correct.
And then he won. Then looking at stories that preceded the primaries, what we did hear that there was a pressure for the PDP ticket to be microzoned to the southeast, understanding that the southeast and the northeast are the two zones that are yet to experience or produce, even though the North Central hadn't produced, but they felt that, during military regime, the North Central enjoyed quite enormous, time. So they should have power shift to the northeast, especially, than before the north. The southeast, especially before the northeast. Yeah. And then we heard a lot of drama play out. Some of these dramas that's playing out now with IU also played out then with seconders. Correct. If you remember. And
the same people that removed
my governor, my able governor Wike was also very, very active and involved in this game. Yes. If you look at the way it happened, almost the same style of, we remove you from your ward first, and then we take you off from the ward. Once you go from the ward, you take off from the.
He fought a very strong fight.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, he had to
Absolutely.
go.
So let's look at that drama that happened there, because the reason I'm chronicling this drama now is because IU has left, but did somebody from the south take over from IU?
For now, the acting guy is from the north.
Oh,
exactly,
acting.
because that's
I think because he's acting.
Just calm down. Just calm down.
He's still acting.
So the thing is, because it is in the constitution of the PDP that much I know, that if a chairman leaves office before the expiration of his tenure time or round of tenure, that it must be someone within that same region that has to take over, which is exactly what has played out now. And we hear that the people who also ensured that is enshrined in the constitution was part of my governor, the people who are making this agitation now. So we also did hear, that my governor's friend, the governor of Benue State, Wike, Barrister Nyesom Wike's friend.
Yes.
Let's just say that. The governor of Benue State was the chairman of the zoning committee.
Correct.
And they were part of those who decided to throw
it open. When they
and not microzone to southeast, where Peter Obi probably would have been eligible. My governor was part of those who told Peter Obi you cannot get more than one vote.
In Anambra, right?
In Anambra State. In your state. I mean, that's talking about the primaries election. So what do you make of that drama that played out within that primaries, and then what is happening now?
You see, not microzoning it. I mean, forget about the Benue State governor and all that. Benue State governor is close to Wike. From the political power play that they were trying to look at, it was closer to Wike. And if it was close to Wike, he would definitely not support microzoning it to the southeast. Because if you microzone it to the southeast, Wike is not from the southeast.
So would it have been fair that he's insisting, understanding that the last person who got that ticket was from his zone, the South? I mean, a state that was together with your state.
How are no be like that too?
So was it a fair and just fight anyway, after all? That's what we're looking at. Because remember that this group is called Integrity Group.
It was a selfish fight. This is a part that a lot of people missed out.
With all the clamor, we were distracted. People were distracted. Not me. People were distracted. So
it felt when he did not win that ticket, that was he now took it as an agenda of the South, forgetting about the role that he himself played in how that ticket went to the North. If he had worked with people like the came out of that party to Labour, and then the G5 also emerged, led by Wike. At the end of the day, it was a massive loss for most members of the G5, as far as their own immediate political career is concerned.
So is it safe to say that Obi's exit from PDP led to the demise of the PDP? I don't want to say demise, but
it led to the loss of that election, in my opinion. Because if Obi was there, it's a different story that we'll be talking about from the southeast and from the south. See what Obi did in the south now, including Delta, where the vice president candidate of the PDP was from. Okowa lost in Delta.
So, all right, interesting. So let's look at, the dramas that are, played out within the G5 governors themselves. The G5. Wike ensured that he had a grip of River State.
Correct.
Sheyi Makinde got quite lucky too. He had a grip of Oyo State. But we look at the other three. Otom didn't get quite lucky both in the presidential election. Well, he was able to, garner vote for the candidates he supported during the presidential election for the state. However, he lost out both in governorship and in his senatorial seat.
Even the presidential competition in his state, he lost it to APC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There was,
and then, okay, go ahead.
I was just going to speak briefly about the Benue.
Okay, it's okay.
I remember that about 6-7 months ago, one of my very senior colleagues that came into my office and said, Agbola, we need to do something that there's this guy that has picked up the APC ticket for Benue. That is the next governor of Benue State. That was about
the
6
priest,
months ago.
Right?
The priest. He said it is. I said, how can you say that? Benue is PDP. Otom is very strong.
Remember, he started with. Remember, he won the election on the platform of the APC himself.
Yes, I am able to bamboozle everybody with all the insecurity and whatever. That nobody will want to hear of APC in Benue. He said, forget it. That the people simply love the guy.
So it was about his person. Oh, wow.
That was the guy that was instrumental to APC winning Benue.
Okay.
And he eventually himself emerged as the governor of Benue State. So Benue is a totally, is slightly different kettle of fish from the others. But
so let's look at Enugu State. We had let's why you didn't laugh now?
Enugu is a very interesting one. Oh.
So share the interesting story for us.
Because I believe what happened in Enugu will still be challenged in the court. And there are certain elements of what could have happened in Abia also in Enugu. But Enugu took the other direction from what...
What do you think happened? Because it was still one local government.
It was one local government. Now,
I think the Nkanu East local government.
Yes.
Nkanu. There have been accusations about the fact that there were elements of overvoting in that place. The problem with overvoting and beavers is that they don't go together. Beavers would disgrace you if you declare a result and add it to your vote.
So remember that these same
different.
people took the beavers and everything. They packed their load at some point to Abuja to go and, because the counting was not adding up in their states again. So Abuja had to call them to do that counting. So you think that, that
they might not have manipulated
the overall, yes.
We will find out all these things
after all.
in the course of the litigation. We will see all these things. All these things will pop up. And you see, these beavers, it's something we must build upon. We must build upon it. It's like a lie dictator.
Is it just build upon now, but make it work, or use it judiciously?
Use it judiciously and make it work. Okay. But build on whatever the gains, whatever the learnings we've been able to take from beavers. We must build on those learnings, because they will be important for how we take our democracy to the next level.
When you say build upon, there are also cases, for instance, in that of Rivers State, where people said beavers' results were alleging the beavers' results were swapped, where the result that was meant for a particular party, or the numbers of votes that were meant for a particular party, were swapped for another party. But they ensured that they used similar numbers so that it would tally with the number that they have in
all
Rivers.
those things will be revealed in the course of the litigation. The numbers in Rivers were abysmally low. It has never been this bad before. You see the numbers from Rivers? The same Rivers that we were talking about. And Rivers has population. That is the interesting thing.
In 2015, we saw the amount they gave, the number they gave.
So for that number to have crashed to 200 and something, 300 and something thousand, you are asking yourself, what happened? Where did everybody disappear to? They didn't disappear.
But was that not everywhere? Because, for instance, if you see the level of awareness that Lagos State had in this election, and the number of registered voters and PVCs collected in Lagos State, vis-a-vis the number of votes that you see from Lagos State, did it add up? It didn't quite add up.
It didn't quite add up. It didn't quite add up because there are several windows to look at what could have gone wrong.
Okay.
And it starts all the way from that database in itself. There's something that told us that we have about 7 million registered voters in Lagos.
Absolutely.
Do we have 7 million registered voters in Lagos?
Do we have the capacity to? We have
the capacity to have 7 million voters. In fact, to have more in Lagos. Lagos, we are told, is over 20 million people.
However, we're having a census soon. We'll do a census soon. With about 1.83 billion, 1.8 billion naira budgeted for it, $1 billion budgeted for it. So we do hope that tells us the right figure. Yes, okay. So
it's not for today's issue. So from the number of registered voters, which we have been building for several years, probably even over a decade, we've been building these numbers. How much auditing and pruning and audit of those numbers have we done?
So to remove those that have died and those that are days that have jackpot,
all sort of things have happened to that number. Then the next phase is people who collected the
PVCs.
Card. They said, this number of people have collected the PVC. This so-called number of people have collected the PVC included those who have collected before. Now, some of those who have collected before also no longer, some of them might not be here any longer, and you're still counting on them that they received, they are holders of PVC in Lagos State. They may not even be here at all.
Okay.
It is on top of that you now layer issues of voter, what do you call it now? When you threaten intimidation and the rest of it. But beyond that, we in the past must have been inflating the number of people that actually voted in our elections. Yes.
But Lagos itself has always suffered voter apathy. If you compare
historically,
exactly.
Yes.
So
Yes. So we've been been overstating these numbers. But with the issue of beavers, overstating became more difficult. So what we saw is a mix of various factors that I've listed that accounted for the sudden drop in the numbers that we saw.
So let's look at our God's own state, the only state in the Bible in Nigeria that had very interesting, development. It started with the presidential election.
Okay.
The story of Abia State. It started with the resident electoral commissioner in Abia State during the presidential election, and the way Enyinnaya Baribe of Abga won the incumbent governor, Ikpeazu, because it's the same senatorial
local
zone.
government. And I think they are the same local government.
It's the same senatorial zone.
Probably even related.
Yeah, exactly. We can't tell. So you would recall that it was actually the governor's interests for the senatorial position that led to the Xing of Enyinnaya Baribe from PDP.
Correct.
He had to leave PDP to ensure that he gets the ticket from Abga. And then, of course, it is hard for any other person to win an incumbent governor in a state. That's hard to happen. But then it played out in that election. If you also would recall during the announcement of the result, I think the senatorial result was about the last that was released.
Correct.
So a lot of drama played out there, and the resident electoral commissioner we heard was raising alarm, that his life was under threat and all of that and all of that.
Yes.
That happened.
There was all of that.
He was being intimidated, and then he left because he did not, handle the governorship election anymore. Then came the woman who some people see as a heroine of the election in Abia State, Professor Nnenaya Oti, and then almost the same thing played out from the allegations she was also raising that, there was a lot of intimidation. People wanted her to compromise, but she insisted. In fact, let's even take a listen to what she said, because she said quite a lot in that conversation. I'd like to see what she said about that. So she mentioned that, interestingly, the governor of the state has responded to that. But let's first of all look at how the governor lost his election, his senatorial seat. Did you see that coming? Enyinnaya Baribe is also not a small fry. You know that. Enyinnaya has been
around forever now.
He was deputy. Remember he was deputy at some time to Ojus The first,
you see,
yes.
Abia State politics have been dominated by about 3 families. And that is what it has been from 1999 until we're beginning to see these changes.
So, Enyinnaya has always been, so you remember what played out between him and Ojus as his deputy, why he left and went for senator. He has always been this Anugo Greek kind of person, and all of that. So did you see him winning that battle between him and Okezie Ikpeazu?
Okezie was not going to win.
Why do you think so?
You see, something changed, like I said, in this particular election, which you rightly observe as well. It wasn't just Okezie that lost. It was 7 governors with senatorial ambitions that lost those ambitions.
Oh, including Ayade
of Cross River, was it the Kebbi guy or whatever? Some in the north.
I heard that Bensit would have been close to losing
a total of 7 of them. It's one of the wins of this election that we must not lose sight of. That you can be a governor with strong influence. We believe they are the most influential politician in the particular state. So for most influential politicians to be losing Senate seat, which is their usual retirement home after you finish governor, something changed in this election. So in Abia, you have a situation in which this about 3 or 4 families have been dominating this thing forever. And even Abians were spawning for a change. They want something different. It is in the midst of this that the obedient factor came in. He walked in as that hero, riding on the hearse of what people are looking forward to.
But Enyinnaya Baribe was not from Labour Party.
He was not from Labour Party. He was from Abga. But don't forget that Baribe has been an entrenched interest.
He's been very vocal too.
And very vocal. So despite the fact that he was one of these people who have dominated the politics of Abia, he was seen in a different cast. Even when every other person would not talk in the house,
he talks.
And when you're now talking about,
especially pertaining issues related to Southeast, and
he will talk, and he will talk very strongly. In fact, one would say that if you are talking about representation, and you think there's somebody who has represented strongly in that National Assembly, his people, nobody could have a doubt about Baribe. So wherever he decides to cross to, he was going to have that kind of followership that he had.
Okay.
In that place.
So let's now go straight on to the presidential, the governorship election and the drama that played out. Do you think it was a stroke of luck for Alex Otti to be in the Labour Party at this time? Was it a good timing? Because people heard him.
Perfect timing.
People heard him say that. I had won election without the Peter Obi force, because in 2015 it was said that he won, but just the same Obingwa drama played out in 2015 that X'd him. So do you think this is just another stroke of luck, or it was just the love for an Alex Otti?
It's a combination of many things. Number one, Otti himself comes across to me as a good candidate. I knew him in his banking years, First Bank, Diamond Bank, and rest, So he came across as a strong candidate with competence for that state. That is number two. He has now been in that game. He has contested at least 2 times before this last time. So he has been a known face, and for people who have been itching for a change from the Ojus Okalu and the Theodoji and the Igbazu, they've seen him as representing that change that they were looking for. So when he now rode on that same Labour Party horse, it was just a winning thing.
Okay.
It was just a winning.
Okay, so let's go
As
ahead.
a matter of fact, anyway, I don't want, because Enugu State, they don't go court, so make another.
Yes, they're in court already.
So it's already sub judice. All right. So let's take a listen to what Madam Nina said, and then we'll also play the reaction from the governor of the state, because he had an interview just yesterday to react to some of the things you said. So let's take a listen.
As an electoral officer, I have never in my life, never participated in any election. Never. My duty came calling. I made my inquiries from Abuja, and I said, if I perish, I perish. They came with their threats. They came with their money. They came with their intimidation. Our man, I didn't start today. I stand here before God, Jesus Christ. I have never defrauded at all anyone. Declare the riot act as follows. Under me, votes must count. Under me, the people's mandate will be upheld. Because Professor Nana Otti, the mother of 3 children, and the wife of Nana Otti, the daughter of Ibewo, the daughter of Afibo, the daughter of Ebonyi State, the daughter of Udibo, the daughter of Nigeria.
I must confess, I love her energy. Yeah. I love not just her energy. I don't want to say theatrics thing. I mean theater artist. Everything about theater and drama comes my way. But I love her energy. I love the excitement she brings to presentations generally. Were you surprised to hear this from her?
Well,
this is like the first electoral officer in Nigeria to come up publicly to say these kind of things. Others say it on the kumkum, like people would say, but they don't really come out to say that they did this and this. No.
But from the way she was speaking, you will know that she's someone who enjoys the sound of the microphone. I watched as she announced the result. The drama before the announcement of the result. I mean, I was watching it with my wife, and at some point we were like, Madam, announce this thing.
I think she was almost making a speech at some point.
She made a speech, not that she was almost.
She made a speech.
She made a speech.
And talked about her personality first.
Yes.
And then she went ahead.
So she enjoys the limelight. And guess what? I think she has done well. Because as much as you could say yes, of course Beavers has helped to make it possible, there are people who will be carried away by the offers. When you take some of these roles, you are aware that some people at our level have been jailed in this country too before.
Of course.
Yes. No, so when the allure of money and all other things that could come with it could make people lose their head. But the fact is that she did not lose her head.
You have the capacity to manipulate results. Because these are results that must have emanated from the units, collected at the ward, collected at the local government, and brought to, or not met that professor before. And I am shocked. Because in the first place, I think if she's a professor really, she should know that she doesn't even have the capacity to manipulate results. Because these are results that must have emanated from the units, collected at the ward, collected at the local government, and brought to, for her to just add them up and announce. I've not met her before, I've not spoken to her. If I've met her, if I've spoken to her, let her come to the public and declare so. So I'm shocked that she's making a big noise out of nothing. The only thing was that at some point when I saw the coincidence in them and traced a little bit of her background, I complained to INEC that this lady was not going to be fair. But they told me that, they assured me that they profiled her, but I'm still shocked. And what she has betrayed in the aftermath of her service, hostel worship in Abia, indicates the fact that she is visibly happy with what she did, which means her level of bias in that regard could be placed in favor of one party or another.
You don't think that she did right?
Well, she has betrayed that she had something at the back of her mind, a mindset of her own before she came. But for me, that'll be it.
What would you ascribe to the loss of your party?
So there you are, Lagos. You heard that. That was the voice of the governor of Abia State, Okezie Ikpeazu, reacting to the statement made by Professor Nena Oti whilst she was being welcomed. She did that. She made that statement when she was being welcomed by her university, that is FUTO, Federal
University of Technology,
University of Technology, where welcoming her back from state service, so
a national assignment.
So what would you make of what Okezie Ikpeazu had said, the governor? He said he had never met her before and he complained about the name, and anyone who heard the names too would be worried. She's Oti. Alex Oti is Oti. Even though Alex Oti's Oti comes with double T, hers comes with one T.
One is Afikpo, the other
one is Ebonyi State entirely, and the other one is Abia State. They're not related in any way. So but what do you make of everything entirely, his statements?
So some of what the governor, he's still the governor, not former governor, right?
No, he's still the governor.
Yeah,
he will
some
stop being
of what he said
May.
are not exactly, they are not exactly as valid as they might have been presented. For example, the fact that I have not met someone does not mean that I cannot reach someone if I need to reach someone. So I don't need to meet people. As a matter of fact, depending on where someone sits, you may not be acceptable that you get directly involved in certain things. I'm not saying that he is involved in anything at all. I'm just saying that you don't need to be personally involved if that is what they wanted to do. Then the other part about the woman not capable of not in a position to do stuff. She could actually be in a position to do stuff. What the governor was saying was alluding to the level of collusion that will be required for her to do things. So elections are collated at various levels
Certainly,
before it
from
gets
the
to
polling unit level to the ward level to the local government level.
Yeah. So what the governor was saying is that you can't do that now because all these things have been collated at various levels. But the truth is that control breaks down when there is collusion. What it means is that if the money is fat enough and it's on the table, you can get all the other people to collude.
So let's look at the one local government that may have caused this issue in Abia State. As someone who's at the helm of affairs, she was the one in charge for the entire state. And for instance, she's been chronicling and following the results as they were presented
announcing
to her.
The results.
And then there came a local government that had a particular figure. Could she have been wrong to say, wait, give me the beavers from that place, let me cross-check what I have in the beavers assist? Because that looks like what played out. That's what we saw the discrepancy between what was the number of registered voters vis-a-vis the number of votes that that's why it became contentious at that point. So do you think she was wrong for fact checking? If I have to say it's facts check she did now?
That would have been part of the training that she also received to have been able to take the position that she took. So the Recs are trained in certain things. In fact, some of those Recs, they make calls now about inconclusiveness of a particular election, cancellation. They make all sort of calls based on the training that they have received. So from her training, she knows that if you have this number of accredited voters, you cannot have something that is small as the number of votes. So she can call and say, what exactly is going on here? Which I believe was part of what played out eventually. And they had to go back, sort this out. And with 30,000 or thereabout accredited voters,
and then there it goes. And then after all of this, PDP came with the drama. Okay, some people are impious, this person, that person, Ayodele Fayoshe, you are hereby, and all of that. So did you see the PDP taking decision about these people, even though we saw these people clearly participating in what may be called an anti-party activity?
First, why did they exclude Wike from that list?
I don't know, because I'm still wondering.
So,
I'm still, because Wike was quite vocal and open about it.
You see, there was no doubt that there was serious anti-party.
You asked me that question, like, why they exclude your governor? It just hits me again. Like, come, madam, why they come on your governor for that list?
Serious anti-party activities happened in PDP.
And Ayu was also accused of same thing in his state.
Now, party discipline. We have already established a foundation of the fact that the parties are not even parties in the true sense of parties. The BRS minimum, one of the BRS minimum that I could at least do is to have some basic discipline, or what you call party discipline, the supremacy of the party, and you are not allowed to do anti-party activities. That was not what we saw with PDP. All the gentlemen that you listed were involved in anti-party activities, including
the chairman of the party.
Including the chairman of the party was accused of anti-party activities as well.
Even though we didn't see that play out very openly.
We didn't see that. It could also have been entangled with some other underneath games, because this was the word. And when I listened to the guy that was even reading that speech, I'm like, oh my God, where is this guy from? And all of a sudden, after the election, you found out that he has not paid his dues. At what point did he? Why didn't you know 3 weeks ago? So
could we marry this with what Wike had said? Because Wike said something about after the election we're going to take our party back.
And now you don't take back.
And this looks like exactly what is happening.
Now you don't take back.
So do you think that this is a planned work by the G5 after all?
It is a planned work. I don't know whether it is by G5 or but definitely it will appear that at least Wike is actively involved in whatever is playing out. See, in the course, Wike and some other powerful people within the party, when the initial call for the removal of Ayu was hot by the G5, it was a difficult time to actually remove Ayu.
But don't you think it would have been better they did that instead of now? Couldn't it have helped them fare better during the election?
Maybe it would have been better if all the parties involved in the drama have been honest enough about what exactly the problem was. But they were not honest. For example, the G5 said, we want him removed. But they also know that, they said the reason they want him removed is that it should be a southerner. But G5 knows that if you remove him, it is not a southerner that will come there. It will be another northerner.
Because someone else has taken over and it's not a southerner.
It's not a southerner.
It's still a northerner.
That is in line with the constitution of the party.
So that's exactly what would have happened if he was also removed earlier.
If he was removed earlier. So the question is, if what you seek to achieve was for a southerner to be the chairman of the party, then removing him would not have been the solution.
Sorry, one question, and
Yes.
it may be hard, but this is not to disparage or, to, try to rouse sentiments. However, I'd like to ask, if my governor, the governor of Rivers State, was actually working for justice, equity, and fairness, like they say, and that's what they call them, the integrity governors, right? And that's why he wanted to ensure that at least either the presidential candidate or the chairman of the party comes from the South. That's the essence of the agitation. Was it fair for him to also clamor for a candidate who is also flagging the same faith ticket, understanding that the person who has been in power, the president in power, is also someone from that same religion? Is that enough fairness, justice, and equity?
Because it's not about fairness and equity.
I just asked. I just wanted to get that off my
politics
neck.
It is first about self-preservation and your own share of the political cake, the
Your
power
interest.
cake on the table, your interest. So it is number one and maybe like 75-80% first about him. Then all other things can come into play. So supporting whoever you're surprised that was who he supported? No, I don't think so. It is possible that in the political space out there, politicians are more attuned to their fellow politicians that they can have a deal with.
So if it's about interest for Wike, what could it be for the other G5? The four of them. What is it for them? What was there for them?
It's also interest. Can you see what is almost happening to them now? Some of them are almost entering into some temporary oblivion. They lost their elections. They couldn't deliver for presidency. They couldn't deliver their own personal election.
They could not even get their own. They could not.
Exactly. I saw Autumn apologizing in the newspaper a couple of days ago. It was a report that was apologizing to people, and I'm like, what's all the apologies all about? So, everybody was looking to what will happen after 2023 election. How can I continue to be relevant? Yes, and it is in the course of that all the various alignment that we saw played out, and there are losers and there are winners.
So right now, the IU has been suspended, even though it is, and of course you'd recall that Wike went to court to ask for seek injunction against his suspension in PDP. So I guess that may be one of the reasons why he was not suspended. And then right now, all the people that were called for questioning in the party and those that were suspended by the party have been recalled, have been absorbed back. We have a Yadilifa Yoshi, we have an Empire saying, and then we've heard that, Autumn, you're not answering any question again because he was supposed to face,
disciplinary
panel.
committee.
Exactly. He was supposed to face disciplinary committee and all that. And they've been absolved of all of that. What do you see happening again in PDP?
It appears that as if he's the new leadership, despite the fact that it's a temporary leadership, trying to rebuild.
What will become of Atiku Abubakar? They are presidential candidates?
He will be there. He will go back to Dubai as he normally does after, if he wasn't declared
I wasn't
president
expecting you to say this.
after the justification.
Lagos, let's open the phone lines.
After the litigation.
Lagos, let's open the phone lines. Please, let's have you chiming into this conversation. If you're watching us from the diaspora and you like to jumping on the conversation, you can do that via WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp line is 0700 903 9039. 0700-903-9039. The phone line to call for direct call is 081-644-25875. That is 081-644-25875. Let's take your thoughts, your reactions, and what you make of all of this drama.
Plenty drama. And the series never finish. There are more series that will still be playing out.
So in all of this drama, I wanted to even ask, do you see any Ashwebi coming up next again? Because they have some inaugurations to do, and they've been very unique with their styles of.
Things may.
And they even dance the same dance steps, like some kind of choreography.
Things may take a different turn over time. Well, they're all still in PDP.
Still in PDP.
None of them.
There's been talks that Wike may likely move officially to the APC.
I don't think.
Do you see that happening?
I don't see it happening.
But what I see, him work for the party.
What I see is Wike trying to become powerful again within the PDP fold. It's more or less like rebuilding
but how
the
can
party.
he become powerful again within the PDP when you worked for another party that is likely in power now? How will that happen? How can you oppose a party that you brought to power? That's one. On the second hand, remember that someone did call that the president-elect should, take Wike in his cabinet. So how will that work out? Because understanding the politics of Nigeria,
he's going to have to go and queue in APC. He has a better chance to rebuild PDP. You and I don't know what the deal was.
Okay.
And the deal might not have anything to do with having to cross to my party or not.
Okay.
So that is the reality of
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Hello, good evening to you.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, my name is Onyekachi. I'm calling from Okafa, Isolo.
Can you help us turn up the volume of your radio set, Onyekachi? Thank you and welcome.
Yeah.
Help us turn up the volume of your radio set, please. I plead with you. Have you done that? Hello. All right. So let me take messages. We have so many messages. So many of them. Okay. Uchiman says. Okay. Ituma Augustine says. And when the court proceedings, when will the court proceedings for the tribunal begin? Of course, we'll make that. That will be made open. We'll know. Archman says breaking. Let's leave that story. Emmanuel Osi says, we know all that numbers that are manufactured. We know that all of those numbers are manufactured. I mean, talking about those numbers that come from some areas. And then Black Man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, yes, Peter says, at Emmanuel, did you need an imam or a pastor to tell you as a prophecy that those numbers are manufactured? Even a drunkard on the street knows it is as well as in the last February 25th election, still the shock watching INEC chairman's speech at the Chatham House and then with what played out, at the end of the election. Ochman says the truth has been that all censuses are done in Nigeria, which North has always claimed to be higher in number. Now now they have been exposed that the numbers probably may not be as much as they are. Citizens that he went on with that. Okay, thank you. And he says my real professor speaking with blindness. Well, you said a lot. I would not speak further on that. But let me move to WhatsApp because my WhatsApp line is so full. Okay. Let me see what Emmanuel says here. Calling from US. I'm not picking your call. Apologies. We'll pick now. All right. So this says, please, location. Any use. Okay. All right. So this says, good evening, Precious. Is your guest a Labour Party member or Peter Obi supporter? He condemned APC and PDP, where Labour Party won, including Benue and Enugu. Tunde from Ijegu.
I'm neither. I'm an analyst. I'm sitting right in the middle there.
Okay. And then Emperor says, hi, Precious. Professor Nina has written her name in the Guinness Book of World Record. I assure you, if court restores the stolen mandate and declares Obi as the president, Professor Nina will be the next INEC chairman. I don't want to say Yimo to you. It says, Aso Ikwazu, he's just blabbing. Aso Wike, he's just a selfish and self-centered dude. Emperor sent in that. Let me take this call. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes,
Precious.
Yes. Yes, good evening. Welcome.
How are you?
I'm very well. How about you?
I'm cool.
Great. So, what's your name, sir?
I'm Vincent from Satellite Town.
Vincent, where are you calling from? Okay, Satellite Town. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead with your contribution.
I want to know, why was Wike not expelled from the party when others were suspended? I want to know the reason why himself was not affected by this suspension.
Okay,
Thank you.
So some people think that it may be because, or it may not be unconnected to the fact that he went to court to seek for an injunction against his suspension from the party. I don't know if you heard that. All right. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, a very good evening to you. Welcome.
My name is Onyekachi, calling from Okafa, Isolo.
Onyekachi, you're welcome. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
Yeah. Honestly, this diva of the state really tried for this election. It can really help. If not, these people, we will just look them as usual. But God will help us here. Indeed, Peter Obi and the Nena, they are our heroes now by the help of the divas. But can I still talk about this thing?
Which thing be that?
Because this man that is saying that they should sanction Channel TV for his interview with the Vice President of Labour Party. Because of that, it is a really sign that media are in trouble. This is a freedom of information bill. Is going to tamper with it. We are seriously in trouble. This man got to be in that seat of power. He's going to do everybody shut up. Honestly.
All right. So you're talking about the news that broke today, the headline news that broke today that the president-elect is requesting that channels, that a Rice TV channels television be sanctioned because of the interview with Dati Baba Ahmed, the deputy, the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Is that what you're talking about?
That's what you're saying. So that's what I want to talk about.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Mr. Bolaho, I saw you cringing there. Would you like to react to that?
Yeah, because I don't understand the basis for sanctioning channels. I watched that interview live, and I saw Sheung also try to balance that thing.
Yes.
In fact, trying to call that vice presidential aspirant to moderate what he was saying.
Which is his job.
Which is his job. So he did his job perfectly well. I don't understand why you want to.
So the station cannot be faulted, right?
If anything at all, you will say this DSS can invite the vice presidential candidate and say all these things about truncating democracy and all the rest that you were saying. Can we understand it better?
I don't even want us to dig into that matter, because digging into that matter, you may want to ask, could one be totally wrong to speak their intent that much? I don't know.
You see, there was that speech, there were challenges with that speech, and I will tell you why.
Okay.
On one side, you have a president who says, nothing will shift me. May 29, I'm back on my farm. So if there is not a speech that says, don't swear in the other guy, so you are saying we should leave that road empty?
Okay. Do we also bother to look at what preceded that statement? Because it may not just be about the statement, but the event that led to the statement.
The event as in the elections and the
before
result.
And after the election, because all of the things that the president said, promise will ensure that we give you very free, credible election, will ensure that people with money or anything will not do this. And then INEC assured us there is no reason why we'll not do electronic transmission in real time at different times. And then when things did not fall out the way it did, and then let's even look at the basic thing he said. He said the Constitution, I think section 130 something now of the Constitution states that for someone to win election, you ought to have won 2/3 of the state and the FCT. Now, there is argument that the FCT, there states that the FCT could be represented as a state.
Let me ask you a question at that junction.
Okay.
Who is the authority under the laws of Nigeria that can interpret the laws of Nigeria?
It's the judiciary.
It's the judiciary.
Of course.
So is this matter before that judiciary?
It is. No.
It's already before the judiciary. Okay. And judiciary is a competent authority to interpret.
Handle that.
So even the interpretation I was given in that, it's just by the side. It was unnecessary
because it wasn't
the competent authority to make that judicial interpretation. But you see, we don't have to heat up the polity by saying, invite him and all of that. But going to the extreme, I mean, APC now saying they should sanction the channels. I think it's just the same way. I had some APC guys in the United States picking a fight about the protests at the White House. I said, what's your problem? Let people who want to hold a protest at the White House hold their protest.
Are you aware that people have been protesting for the APC here in Nigeria?
Yes, people have been.
People must honor and acknowledge the president-elect.
Yes.
As the president-elect.
And even if APC also wants to protest in that same White House, They should apply for an approval. They will give them. They can also go there and do the same protest. They should understand that the American society will frown at anything that looks like you are trying to prevent people from protesting. So they will allow. Labour want to protest, fine, go and protest. PDP want to protest, go and protest. Anybody want to protest.
Talking about a Labour Party presidential candidate's speech. So some people has come out to say that APC in 2015 also threatened to push an interim government, which is the same thing they were talking against right now.
Which is outrightly wrong. In fact, I'm still going to dig back to see if DSS did something about that comment. I remember that comment very, very well.
Yes.
That they will set up a parallel government, blah, 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 blah.
Some people are saying you did the same thing and you're trying to be biased now. Some people, some other person is doing it to you and you're angry about it.
Nobody, whether APC or PDP or Labour, should go along that line. Taking us back to where we left off 24 years ago, or taking us back to 1993. A lot of the people might also not know what happened in 1993.
Because 1993 was also a thing, and in fact, that's the major fear a lot of people have.
It's a major fear of, that's why we should moderate those discussions.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Lagos phone lines are still open. 081-644-25875. 081-644-25875. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. What's your name, please?
I'm AY.
Okay, AY.
I'm calling from Maryland.
Okay, from Maryland, not Maryland, Lagos. So Maryland in the one in the US.
Yes,
I always like to have that clarification. It's okay. Go ahead.
Of course. What I'm about to say, the speaker you have there is very brilliant. I didn't get his name, but I've been listening to him.
His name is Mr. Bolahon Olojede. I hope I pronounce it
Mr.
well.
Bolahon.
I'm learning my Yoruba very well.
That's quite.
Yes, Bolahon, go ahead.
You remind me about Mr. CP. His voice is very, he definitely gets the job done.
Yeah, I told him about that. I did comment the voice. Go ahead.
Yeah, you did. When I rewinded it, yeah, you did. What's it called? He talked about the hypocrisy. This DSS matter. I'm sorry to keep hopping back to it because we discussed it yesterday. I just went back to YouTube, right, and there was a press conference given by General Buhari where he said because he lost, prior to when he lost, he said if he doesn't win this time, that the monkeys and the baboons will be soaked in blood. That's what he said. And everybody heard it. DSS did not come and bother him. Did Jonathan's DSS go bother him? Nobody bothered him. Now they want to sick the apparatus of the state against private citizens and inflame the tensions. It's almost like when you look back, somebody or some group of persons are trying to create the ideal conditions of their dirty interim government. Because again, I go back, even in this evil constitution, cannot create an interim government. The only two things or two entities that can create an interim government is the presidency and the Senate. You controlled by one party. So how
with the
does
help of the judiciary do? I hope you know that.
They don't even have the power.
Exactly.
They don't.
Yes, with the help of the judiciary. So what kind of gaslighting is this? They are trying to gaslight us because this does not make sense. The mental gymnastics here is outstanding because you and I cannot create an interim government. It's them. So why are they foreshadowing? That statement, to be honest with you, looks like something that was written by Dele Alake or political appointment. That statement.
Anyway.
I'm sorry. It does not read like a statement from a professional secret service. It reads like a Gossip Girl post, not like a gossip. It does not read like a professionally written agency wrote that. And that just by the way. He said something. You said something about the Beavers and the KKK states. Ma, I put it to you today, that INEC since 1999 has never conducted an election in Nigeria. Do you know why I say that? Because even with the rigging, numbers don't lie. Even with rigging, I say it again, numbers don't lie. So you're telling me there was record registration all across the country. I'm just going to take Kano. Let's just take Kano. Forget about the rest of it. So I just want to concentrate on Kano. So you're telling me with the record numbers that they claim to have, number one, and the record collection of registration and the record collection of PCs, you're telling me the whole state of Kano cannot give whoever they say they won in the presidential election up to 1 million votes.
The person won by 1 million votes plus.
No, it was 9. It was 900,000. It was not up to 1 million.
It was almost 1 million.
900 and something.
Yeah, 900 and something is nearly 1 million. It's approximately.
But you know, in previous year that would have been like 3 million total.
3 point something million. We know that we complained.
Ma'am, how does 3 million fall to the surface of the earth to above 1 million? It means that it has never, ever. They have never had that number. In fact, I care to even go further that this census, that's why they're trying to jam this census in there and manufacture more numbers. Because I tell you for a fact now, I know that with empirical fact from this election, that the northern population is not more than the southern population. We know that now for a fact. It has been a lie from the pit of hell from day one. So that's why they want to jam this and use how much does Easter pandemic...
Can we have you go back to the discussion we have so you don't keep derailing us now? So, are you done?
I'm sorry, but I just wanted to make everybody know that your guess is absolutely correct, that the numbers have been manufactured from day one, and this has exposed them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling in. Well, always a pleasure to hear from you.
We shouldn't forget... Oh, yeah, no, not exactly what... We shouldn't forget that all those previous statements that we were talking about, people, Nigerians also went to the market. They protested vehemently. No, I'm not talking of numbers. Those previous statements, there was the issue of the baboon and whatever will be soaked in blood. It was in the newspapers and everywhere for weeks.
But AY did not talk about it.
But the DSS is what we're trying to see. If the DSS weighed in.
Not just the DSS, the entire security agency.
And don't forget that the DSS more or less report to the president. They are like the body of the president. You know. So anyway, let's
the military. Did the military really act on that statement at that time? No, I mean at that time, did they really act on that monkey and baboon statement? I don't think.
I don't think so, because when the media started to make a lot of issues of it, they also came out to say, "Oh, it was an idiomatic expression." He didn't. Yes, that was what happened in those years.
I really did not even. I really wouldn't want to, take us off this discussion to those areas. Exactly, because if you look at it, you want to ask: did it look like in past administrations Nigerians had more rights to agitate or to question than it's looking like we have now? I don't know, because if you look at the Occupy Nigeria protest and the different calls and cries and what preceded the 2015 election and what is happening now, it looks like at any time someone talks now, there's always a counter talk and almost a subtle warning from the security agencies. This statement comes almost like a subtle warning, like, you don't go there, you don't do this, even the police. I don't know if you've noticed, or is it just me? I might be a little bit too observant.
Well, we don't know what their marching orders are in the real sense. And definitely how the security agencies will behave in a particular regime will mirror the regime in itself. So because they're not acting in isolation. They act within the context of a particular regime that they serve.
So people have been accusing the DSS about trying to be kind of partisan. I wouldn't say that much. And we've seen stories and pictures of the DSS director's son, he campaigned for the present the president-elect, So people are saying that is the DSS kind of partisan? They have an interest and all of that.
Let me provide certain facts, and then I'll leave you to judge whether a DSS boss will be partisan or not. The boss of the DSS in Obasanjo regime, when he came, the guy that was the boss, he removed him. He brought somebody.
Okay.
When Yar'Adua became president, the one that Obasanjo left, Yar'Adua brought somebody
Appointed
else.
his own.
When Yar'Adua left, Jonathan became the boss. The one way he inherited, he brought his own.
Yes.
When Buhari came,
Same thing.
the same thing. So that is to tell you that the boss serve at the instance of the president. So
Okay.
will there be a tendency for someone who serves at the instance of the president to be loyal to that president? In fact, the person that occupies that post is like a right-hand man when it comes to security matters of the president. That is the way it
And
works.
you need a trusted person, actually.
That's what I'm
need
saying.
a trusted
So, Mr.
person.
Bola, you know where my mind is going to with all of
Yes.
this analysis now? The picture in my head is just INEC chairman. In this same,
No, INEC
which
is
is-
independent, right?
well, just calm down. Yeah, of course, it's
It
independent.
is independent, but those kind of independent, we need to take it a notch further. What we
they are
have
also
today,
appointed.
they are appointed. Just that they are subject to certain approvals, and some of those approvals will not be on, like they put in the contract, will not be unduly withheld. Maybe they will come now, they will address the people. The people will like, who will not. I'm not trying to. I just want to use the current one as an example. There's no house that you will see a Mahmood speak and you won't be impressed.
Yes.
He's a very brilliant guy, first class in his first degree, MSc Oxford, PhD Cambridge. Where will he stand and speak and you will not say a man is standing? But is that all?
But
that
would
we
you say
want?
he actually gave us a first class?
No,
performance?
that's
no, it's okay.
that's not what I want. Where I want to go, I've not landed.
This is an appraisal of some
The
sort.
kind of one notch that I'm talking about is that we shouldn't leave the appointment to just the president. We must go back to look at how these people are appointed, how we can make that process to be more robust.
If we truly want them to serve
be-
the interest of the people.
Yeah.
Because
that
the
is
reason I
reality.
thought about the INEC thing is just like the DSS director's case. There was also a purported or an alleged picture or screenshot of messages between the INEC chairman. Then after the election results were announced, between a conversation between him and his son, where he said, "Oh, thank God he didn't let this happen. Thank God he did." So it looks like his son also had interest
tilted
with a
to
particular
some-
candidate.
You see what I'm saying?
And we did not see a message where the father rebuked what he said in that conversation. So, so
And I
people
think they also
went-
have the right to
Of
support
course,
anybody
they
they
can-
want to. Like
exactly.
the young man, the DSS director's son was like, "Come on, guys,
You can't
I
limit
have the right-
somebody's
don't
son
I
now.
have the right to
Because my
support
papa they work for
a
the I
particular
don't
candidate of my choice?"
These are the realities. They are human beings. They have family. They have families. They have opinions. Even the umpire of an election has his own bias. It is just that you are meant to subjugate whatever bias you have.
Professional, at least.
Even journalists. Do journalists have biases?
So Mr.
They
Bolaho,
do.
so Mr. Bolaho, this is now bringing me to what happens if you marry, since we mirror the United States kind of democracy. If you
Correct.
marry what happens in the United States and what happens here, where, you have representatives from the two major political parties in that kind of scenario, vis-a-vis here that we have the major political party in power appoints the Rex. So do you think that there's a way we could probably look for a balance? Because is it possible for a human being born of a woman and not like Duncan? Okay. Born of a woman not to be biased because we're humans.
But that your proverb, we don't the age you. In these days, men and men are having children. So the issue of somebody
Children without a particular sex.
But we will not go there.
Let's not even go there. So really, do we?
But you see, it's part of what I was trying to build. Or when I said we need to take this thing a notch further. We say it's independent, but these people have minds. They have their own dispositions, so we can help them to even be more independent by bringing in the involvement. The United States that you went to, their case is even more complex. The United States does not have a central electoral commission. It is each state. Even when you are doing presidential election, it is still the commission in each of the states that will conduct those elections. And the methodology
because the result comes out from the states each too. So
the methodology
even our own result comes
is
from the
even
states
different.
each.
So you could have had a situation in which a particular state will have used beavers, another state will not use beavers. But you see, over the years, they have been able to build a lot of credibility into their own process. But it is a totally different ball game in America. I would even say we should look at whatever is going on in India and be able to fashion out something, because India might be,
almost
closer to
apart to us than.
But they are well ahead, though.
I mean, I say, okay, you
argument no
just
they did for India election.
No.
Then they do their election, they do transit smoothly. All these plenty arguments, they did for the election. So there must be something we can pick all around to help independent electoral commission to be more independent than they are. It will also help us. We will stop looking at, you don't do Ojoro, you don't do Ojoro, if we know that this is the level of independence of the appointment.
So at least you have that, confidence in your heart that I'm certain. All right, Lagos, apologies for derailing a little bit in that conversation. Phone lines are still open. I see your messages across board. I appreciate you a lot. The phone lines are still buzzing. It's 081-644-25875. WhatsApp is 0700 903 9039. That is 0700 903 9039. A few messages from YouTube now. Rashid Zibili says, does the president-elect have power to censor the journalists? That's what the question he asked.
No, it's NBC. It's NBC that will do that. Exactly. It's an agency of government.
So he actually asked NBC, as a matter of fact. And then he further says, I love the way you present your questions. I appreciate you. He said, okay. So the ruling party is playing hypocrisy politics. That's what he said. And Path of Justice says the truth is that even if the president-elect never got a single vote across the country, the ruling party would still have been declared winner. It was purely a selection that INEC conducted. Come on.
I think that's an overstretch. We can all agree that there were challenges. But not to throw the baby away with the bathwater.
I agree with you. So this message says, I don't know you are talking to Mr. Bolanhon Olojede. He is a real man and neutral political analyst, unless Mr. Jimmy Disu has changed his mind. Tunde from Ijego sent in that message. And for Nigerian election to be free and fair, INEC chairman should not be appointed, instead by election from Mauritius. He said, he said, from Mauritius, my name is Obioma. He said we should all rather elect and
that is an option to look at. But we must help that role to be more independent.
So that do you think that may really birth and debate truly independence?
But now another INEC now go conduct that election.
So which INEC now go conduct the election?
That INEC will conduct the election. Who will appoint the INEC chairman?
So an interim electoral body. I don't know how that works.
But I believe we can work something out to show it up.
All right. So Agege from Agege says, good evening, VOP. Oh yes, evolvement of beavers has shown some reasonable reduction in electoral frauds. However, one major disadvantage of beavers is some politicians may use it to suppress their opponent's strength by targeting their electorate's advantaged areas. He said deliberately overvoting will be cost in opponents' areas.
Oh, okay. I understand.
So there will be deliberate overvoting in opponents' areas so that the election will be nullified, right? Overvoting will be cost in opponents' voting advantages areas so that such polling units will be cancelled to their advantage, as we witnessed in the just concluded general elections. I think
that will also require collusion with the INEC officials in those places. Without that collusion, it will not happen.
And that comes to integrity again and fairness. All right, so I think the solution should be any areas where overvoting occurs, there should be well-organized rerun of the election instead of outright cancellation.
And the cancellation also has its own advantage. It's meant to be punitive. To say, look, guys, don't even think about it. Just do the right thing.
But with what he's saying now, that
the politician can go and engineer that overvoting. It's a catch-22.
You know this thing about crime, as you're looking for a way to cut
there's always a way out, right?
A way to fight back. I'm telling you.
That's the reality.
All right, let's go back to the phone line. Hello, good evening to you. Hello. Oh, I lost you.
Oh,
hello, good evening. No, now when you call me, remember to turn off. Good evening, please. Welcome.
Sorry for the callback. Okay, this is Kingsley again.
Kingsley, all right.
Okay, three things.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Yeah. Of course, it's all the three topics. One, Wike and his power. I believe why Wike worked for a particular party, or is because to me, okay, let me be straight. Why APC won the presidential election in Rivers State is because Wike will not see. He has always said that he sees himself as bigger than Peter Obi. That is what I feel. That at the end of the day, he makes sure the votes swing to the other side, and that's one. Secondly, when they were in PDP, he has always said that Obi cannot make it, even in Anambra State. He said it. Then for the DSS team, I believe this interim government is another strategy. Just like when the Naira problem came up, the president-elect said, "Oh, it is because of me." So they bought sentiment. Now they are now buying another sentiment again to distract people. So that is what I think. It is just a strategy. It's a strategy. And the third one, for the beavers, it is a good idea if they had used it to tally. It is a good idea because if they had done this part where one after accreditation they now uploaded the result, you see that it will just work perfectly because that accreditation team at least expose a lot of those who are voting in the north and all the rest of it. It would have been a perfect election. But because they didn't do that second part, which they followed, and I wish they can even use the beavers for population census, you will discover that at the end of the day, to expose the north, you will now know that people don't live in the desert. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for calling. Mr. Bolanho.
It's an interesting comment he made. But let me also correct something. The north that we have in Nigeria is not a desert. And people need to know that. There are major rivers from Sokoto to Kaduna. Major rivers. So it's not the same thing as when you think of the Middle East or you go to Dubai or so and you see they're not desert. In fact, most of the farming in Nigeria are done in the north.
And you need water.
And you need water.
For that to happen. All right. Okay. Hello. Good evening to you. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for picking me. My name is Machiavelli.
Interesting. Niccolo Machiavelli is here.
From the United Kingdom, I guess he calls. He's a regular caller. You're welcome.
I know you always remember me. Thank you so much.
I
Niccolo Machiavelli. That's true. I just wanted to contribute to the topic for today. Well, from the first one you said, if the Peter Obi leaving the PDP was a woe. Well, I would totally tell you, like I've always said to every Nigerian, that the Nigerian system, our political party, does not actually want a situation we have someone who is actually a patriotic Nigerian or who wants to make change or who actually mean well for the nation building. So they've always designed themselves as these, what you call a structure that has never yielded what is called dividends of democracy for the people. So they build themselves, and this is why Peter Obi thinks that he cannot be under this same umbrella, because if he joins these people, he continues to be with them, his ambition will just be dead. And he's saying himself, and he wanted to prove to them that there's somewhere where you can thrive, and this has opened ways for Nigerians to say, well, we can always make ourselves available even if we don't have to belong to their structure they've seen themselves, and this structure of criminality that has never yielded well. So that is what he thinks that he wanted to do for Nigeria, to give them the moonlight to see that there's another light in this tunnel. And that is one thing that he did. It is not because of Obi, because the problem the PDP is having is just a problem of, I want to be there. The likes of Wike and the rest. This has what they have seen. They always underrated Peter Obi to be a small boy who doesn't. They don't even like him when he was a governor. They didn't even know that he has the potential. So he proved them wrong. And today they are fighting because of lack of leadership and enviness. And this, it is my turn, my own. And I've always built the party. I've always spent for the party. They never consider the life of every Nigerian, of the welfare of Nigeria, how it's going to be. So this is the problem they are facing, and they will continue to face that, because PDP, to me, it can never become a political party that will be united, because they have always had their differences and they cannot unite themselves with what they have done so far to damage their reputation in the hands of Nigerians. So for the other side of maybe to bring unity to Nigerians, like what they have they have built by bringing in tribal and ethnic things. This is a way for these political oligarchs to fight their way, so that they will continue to disunite Nigerians and continue to use that to climb the ladder.
Right,
and another one is
I thought you were wrapping up because we need to pick other calls.
All right, thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, hello, good evening to you.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, my name is Gabriel, calling from Ikoyi.
Gabriel, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to add a little to what the guy, the last caller, I think his name is Mark Valley.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Just add a little to what he just said, and I believe I agree with to a level to what he said in terms of the political structures not wanting the people that really are going to work for the general good of the country to come to get a ticket to rule the country. Because the way I was looking at it before the primaries took place, I was already thinking, okay, what if PDP gives Peter Obi the PDP primary ticket, and APC gives Osibanjo the ticket for their own primary ticket? I mean, that would have been a lovely campaign. That would have been a lovely election season for the country if we had Peter Obi on PDP and Osibanjo on APC. Like, I'd have gone to bed sleeping thinking, either of them, I am fine with it. Do you get what I mean? But on the two political parties, first of all, PDP frustrated Peter Obi, and APC obviously did not let Osibanjo get the ticket. So that tells me what I need to know about the general political system. They just don't want the people that can actually, come out to work for the general good of the country. That's how I say that, to be honest with you. Whether PDP or APC, it's just the same bunch of self-serving people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Bolo, I see you nodding and reacting. It
was a very
react
interesting proposal he had made there. But
as you really did particularly like the combination of Peter Obi and Osibanjo.
It will have been a much more interesting competition than what we had.
Do you think we would have had all this drama play out?
There might still have been drama, but it might have been of a different complexion. And I believe, you see, the problem is the newness, because it will now be two people that have not exactly been, should I say, establishment person like that. It would have been interesting. Honestly, it would have been very interesting.
I mean, imagine what would have played out. Right? I would have loved to hear the grammar of Osibanjo and his intelligence come to full play. As it doesn't look like we've quite harnessed his potential.
I just hope that whoever eventually takes the saddle, come the next administration, will find a use for him, and that he will also be willing to take the use. I've seen him, for example, in the new oil and gas whatever, where he had been representing the country in recent times, and his sudden pop-up of knowledge in that space is amazing. So he goes there and can talk about all these fossil fuel problem. You want to shut the African country out of fossil fuel issues and all the rest. And he had taken it up, talking about renewable energies and all the rest of it. I thought, this is impressive, even if it is in that particular role, because something is about to happen to Africa and some other countries that are reliant on oil, like Nigeria. The Eurozone had signed an agreement that they will stop to sell fossil fuel vehicle or petrol vehicle, gasoline and diesel vehicle by 2035. That has an implication for demand.
Did you remember that? Did you remember that there was a time electric, the importation of electric vehicle, like electronic vehicles, was raised in the Senate. I remember there was a senator who shut it down and said, no, we cannot even talk about it because we're more oil reliant. I'm wondering, do you see our people having that awakening that hello, This may not be business as usual, like
moving with the rest of the world,
which is why I'm saying we need someone. Well, it may not necessarily be him anyway. We can find someone, but we must take that campaign to the international world, because there is also an element of unfairness in what we're saying. This same Western world built their economy on the same fossil fuel.
But they have
After they are done, they are now saying, "Oh, you people, we don't want you to use
fossil fuel." Is it their fault that you did not move in the speed that they moved?
Yeah, but you see, we also don't want a situation in which they kill us and then they start giving us aid on the other end. The poverty that would descend on most part of these oil-dependent places, especially the Africa part, because Saudi is already going far, trying to make the best of the fossil fuel while it can. The profit that Saudi Aramco made from oil last year was so huge it has never been made in the history of any company in the oil space before. It has never been made. It was so bad that United Nations had to call them and say, only you make this kind of money where everybody for the entire world they suffer. That it became an obnoxious profit to have made. But we didn't make money.
I don't want
here.
to talk about it. See, if I think about what countries who are reliant on the same natural resources that we are.
It makes me sad. I took a drive with a friend.
You saw what happened in Qatar, Qatar.
Yes, no.
Tell me other natural resources Qatar has apart from oil.
They have brains and they have.
Do you understand? And do you know that there's no one single state in Nigeria. There's no single state in Nigeria that is without a natural resources. Let's forget about the oil.
Why
are we? Who do us now?
Even the oil.
I cannot talk again.
I took a drive with a couple of colleagues. We went for an event in Dubai. So we tried to go from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. There is an F1 place in Abu Dhabi. We wanted to go and see that F1 whatever. When we got on that road, we had an Audi A6 on the road. When you get on that road, you can look ahead. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, you can see like how many kilometers. It will be like water. You now ask yourself, now road be this, and this not the same oil people. How come that we use their own money to do this? What will they take our own money they do? Niger.
All right, so let's go back to the phone lines. Because phone lines are open, they've been buzzing non-stop. Let's take your thoughts, your reactions. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. How are the double P?
Yes, so how you doing? What is your name again? Remind us, because our guest does not know you, even though I recognize your voice.
My name is Precious Nelson Wike.
That's interesting.
This guy has given me so many names. They call me Precious Mahmood. They said I rig election in this place. Why are you guys like this? Nedu from Switzerland, you're welcome. I remember your voice very well. You're welcome.
Yeah, how on a day now?
You're fine.
Sometimes, why I love this program, people don't know history. A lot of people don't know history. And maybe sometimes we educate them. Your caller that said that Wike and Co that saw Obi as smaller than them. They know when Obi was in his prime as a governor. Even Wike visited him before he became governor. Wike used to visit him before he think about even becoming a governor. You understand? Then, joke apart, Obi time was during Tinubu time, and so on and so forth. All the people that fought, now even Kwankwaso, they were at the same time. He was one man standing governor because he was the only governor from Abga after Okorocha defected to APC later. Obi was one-man governor, Abga, and so many political parties, most PDP, they were trying to woo him to their party because they see doing good. They know his power and his strength. The only thing that makes these people that think they have power now is because they impoverished their states, created talks, put poverty every here and there, so that these people will be royalists to them. You understand? But people like Obi, who create wealth, Educate people, give them education. The best thing you can give a child is education. When you educate a child, he will know his left and the right. It doesn't mean that maybe Obi gave me a scholarship today, I will vote for him tomorrow. No. But at least people that have education know their left and right. Not to go and impoverish people, make them borrow. Okay, look at how the country is going now. How can you win a presidency and nobody, the country is not jubilating? Today we are hearing people are protesting, begging for congratulations. After that, they are fighting for money of the protest.
Can you go straight to the point, please?
So, you know, I go straight to the point.
You know the drill now. You know, Sagobi's retrace you, Yabi.
And I also want to, sometimes, when you try to educate people, I want to quote someone because people always criticize him or her. And he or she said, I suggest Nigeria should use her scarce borrowed fund to conduct those fraud called election. Let make current she said, let make current selection legal. Do you know who is that?
Who said it?
Or should I read it again? I suggest Nigeria should stop using her scarce borrowed funds to conduct those fraud called election. You are laughing.
Nedu, are you done? Nedu, are you done? If you're done, let's go.
Okay, I say I agree to that.
I agree to you.
Our guest in the studio, I agree to.
We agree to too.
Nah, Precious na wicked sister. Wicked where they drink 10 million kai 40 years. You there for social media.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. You're entitled to your opinion. And you have the right to protest on microphone. All right, Lagos. Thank you so much. Okay, so let me take a few messages because my messages are, on fire. The truth is that, okay. So, Sugar Super Mikey says, okay, what number to call? I think you go to the pinned message, you see the number. What kind of topic is this? I think the media houses should focus on what is happening in Nigeria. I see when you guys give us boost, we answer you, and not whether Peter Obi cause PDP failure. The topic is totally off in my opinion. All right, thank you, I appreciate you. Ezieng Bemi says most Nigerians have voted Oshibajo and Tinubu not rigged. Most Nigerians would have voted Oshibajo and Tinubu. And would have voted Oshibajo had Tinubu not rigged his way through. Why are you guys like this now? Through primaries. Rashid Zibili says the same question we're asking. And Destiny says you lied. You lied. The president elect is okay. I appreciate it. So let me go to WhatsApp because the WhatsApp messages are so many. All right. Good evening, VOP. Comrade Patterson says, I am disappointed seeing the media calling pure fraud an election. That's what he said. And then this says, VOP crew and guest, I greet you. I watched the Labour Party candidates interactive session with Channels Television. Never a time did he mention or insinuate invitation of interim government, which they have the power to install. And he went on with that. And then he said he insisted that INEC shouldn't have declared president-elect nor present certificate of return to someone who did not gather 2/3 votes, including the FCT, as expressly enshrined in the constitution of this country. He said, in this case, if the court rules otherwise, it is INEC and not IREC that is putting us into the jeopardy that we are today. And that's what you said. And this message says, Precious, INEC is a problem. If they had done the needful, DSS would not have been saying stuff like this that they are saying. I so much love the Dallas bro AY. He's New York, not Dallas. He's always Maryland. Maryland. He's always on point and truthful, just like Fowls and most good Yoruba guys out there. The few Yoruba like MC Olomo, no one there wahala. Emperor sent in that message. So a lot of people, Mr. Boloha, were of the opinion or are of the opinion that what INEC did during the Enugu State and Abia State election was what they were expecting Professor Mahmood to do at a time where the Labour Party and Dino Melaye of the PDP were raising concerns about the inconsistency or the nature or the mood of the transmission of results. Did you think that it would have been appropriate for Professor Mahmood at that point to have paused and said, okay, so you know what, let's put ourselves together again and we'll reconvene. Let's look at these concerns and then we'll reconvene to continue announcement of results? Because if it could happen in Enugu and with Enugu and Abia results, why could it not have happened in the presidential election results?
It's a tricky situation. Number one, because we have a bad history with stopping presidential election announcement in the middle of it. Number two is the reality that the man has the discretion. Under the law, he can actually go ahead and do his announcement and then call for a review. And that was the path he chose. But it could also, like I said, he has the discretion, so he could have chosen otherwise and said, okay. I'm stopping this. He's the chief umpire. And he can say, I'm stopping this. In fact, that review that he could do after he has made the announcement, he could say, let me do the review now. I want to review the circumstances. I want to review all the complaints that I'm getting, and I want to stop it. But apparently, it is now in the past. He didn't stop that. Unfortunately or fortunately, he has a legal standing to say, I'm not stopping the announcement.
It's totally his discretion.
It's totally his discretion. That is the reality. Now, before this particular election, the power of review was not put within INEC. INEC could not review complaints. It has to be the tribunal and the rest of it. But when this electoral law was amended, there was a power of review that was given to INEC to say, look, if I receive certain complaints, I can review and I can make correction or amend in respect of that particular complaint.
And I hear that has to be within 7 days of, within a 7 days window, right?
Yeah, but you see, he also, like I said, there is an element of mistakes.
But has that review been done anyway? Because he promised that review was going to be done.
He said it was going to be done.
So,
but apparently, because the parties decided to go above the issue of review and went to the...
so should they not have gone to court anyways?
Normally, what one would have expected is that they have that review with INEC. Because they have complaints. So what the review is about is you come with the issue, the complaints you have, and present it before INEC, and INEC will now review those specific complaints and make a decision.
So was it also possible that they would have also had that review but still gone ahead to go to court?
They could. Why not? I would have thought that they would have that review before even going to court. But apparently, I don't think that review is going. Even if it is going on, it is only going on at the level of INEC, all by itself, maybe for his own learning.
But the INEC
not for the
chairman had promised them, if the INEC chairman had promised that there will be a review after the election results are announced, would it be the INEC chairman reneging on his promises?
No, it will be both ways. It will also be because the people who are to be reviewed did not come for any review. Because probably they were annoyed that, look, we said you should have stopped that and you didn't stop it and do the review at that point. So we're going to the court. We're going for litigation.
During the collation that the INEC chairman had asked when Dino Melaye, was aggrieved and he was kind of protesting the result and all of that. The INEC chairman asked them to go to court that day.
He also mentioned the fact that it will be reviewed subsequently.
Yes.
Because the current electoral law gives INEC that power to review complaints regarding an election. And after reviewing those complaints, if he feels the need to make certain decisions like rerun that one, cancel this one, do this one, it is within his power to do that.
So
but that review did not happen.
It was fast of them going to court? Or should they have waited a little?
I don't think the parties, I think they lost interest in whatever review that INEC may want to do.
And we also remember that they have windows to go to court. They have windows period like 21 days or so before the election.
In fact, I think both parties, file their cases on the 21st day, a few hours of each other.
And again, would you also blame them? Because if we look at the way they filed their cases, remember that they had gone to seek for a court injunction to x-ray electoral materials, which they would have needed, or which they needed to file their cases with. And if you would also recall, according to some of the parties, the INEC did not make available those information or those materials to them on time. In time. As a matter of fact, even at the day of filing,
they went back to court.
Even at the day of filing, the Labour Party spokesperson said they are still yet to receive information or materials for other states. That it was just a few of them that were given to them. That in fact there were states they went to, and the Rex in those states told them that the secretary of INEC in Abuja had given instruction that those materials not be released. I don't know if you listened to that interview.
I didn't. But the reality is that once the court has given a leave, that they should be released, they must be released. And if they are not getting
it, didn't exactly play out.
It didn't play out initially, but I also remember that I watched an interview in which they said, they've now been given access to some of the materials. If they are not getting the whole of the material that they needed, they know where to go to. You go back to the same court.
So do you think this delayed their filing because the two of them filed at the 21st day exactly?
It might be one of the reasons. And gathering information and evidences will still continue even after they are filed.
All right, let's go back to our phone lines. Lagos phone lines are still open. I see all your buzzbuzz on YouTube. You guys, don't know. The way you just be giving us buzzbuzz like this. Mr. Bola, we see all his buzzbuzz that they're giving to him. All right. So,
it's expected. It's expected.
In this kind of you understand this industry right now. Thank you for being there. All right. So Destiny says, Super Marco says, I have a question. Do INEC staff have immunity?
Do they
have immunity? INEC staff.
Only executive governors, their deputy, and the president and the VP have immunity.
Because they asked. Because I think that this is coming from the fact that if any staff was picked or fingered to have been involved in any form of electoral material, shouldn't they face the law? For instance,
they've been jailed. A rec was jailed.
For instance, let's take the Osun State election for instance, where we recorded overvoting and overvoting. With the advent of beavers, if there is any overvoting, the first point or the first person to be questioned shouldn't be the INEC staff, because it should be the electoral officer. Because how did you give ballot papers to people who were not duly accredited by your own machine?
Yeah.
How did they get the electoral money? If the ballot paper is saying that we have 3,000 votes, meanwhile your beavers is saying we have 2,500 accredited voters. So how did they get 500
it should be investigated, and like you rightly said, the INEC official should be called to question. So when they are saying some people have been arrested, I think they said about 450 people arrested for various election violations.
Okay.
I want to presume that some of those people in that net should be INEC officials themselves.
Talking about arrest on electoral violations, we have had elections since 1999. I don't know if you remember anybody who's been duly prosecuted for an electoral offense.
I don't.
Okay.
But
because as I'm asking, I'm trying to count my teeth.
Let me also land on this.
To be sure, okay.
We have a problem because the people we end up arresting are the small fries. They are the foot soldiers. And who are they? They are thugs. Some of them don't even have a place they live. Nobody is expecting them from home. Even if you put them in jail, nobody is coming. Nobody will show up at the court when they are being prosecuted. Not even the media follow up on what happens after those numbers of arrests have been made. So we need to step up the game. Stepping up the game will mean not limiting it to those foot soldiers. Those foot soldiers were sent. They are paid people. They don't have a stake in
so Mr. Bola, before these foot soldiers in this election, we heard all sorts of people say so many things. Why can't we pick them?
Those are the people that we should pick now. For example, in Lagos State, there was somebody who was said to have said something. And my expectation is that I'm not even saying, the guy has committed crime already.
Are you talking about the one who said that Igbos should not come out to vote?
Maybe he said something like that. The Chukwudi story. The story. I'm not saying that at that point where he said it, that a crime has been committed. So maybe I'm not using the right word. Maybe arrest might not be the right word. But at least I would have loved to see him invited.
For questioning.
Yes, to say, that thing where you talk can make we hear and make we understand what exactly you're trying to say.
But you heard the police response to that because he said he was joking.
That's what I'm saying.
And then what followed during the election? Did it look like it was much of a joke? Let me go back to my phone lines. Lagos phone lines are still open. It is 0700 903 9039 for WhatsApp, and the number to call is 081 644 25875. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I was waiting for you to turn down the volume on your radio set.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Ben.
Ben, you're welcome. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ojota.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Precious, please, I want your guest
okay.
to explain this Beaver thing very well because I don't understand. Because there are some states that the INEC rec was in a hurry to announce winner, and all of a sudden they announced another person. Let me give you an example. Ogun State, Nasarawa State, Kaduna State, and which other state again? I think those three states. I don't know what happened because I have friends in Kaduna that called me. They were jubilating already where I was working that somebody else has won. All of a sudden they stopped collation. Hello?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
All of a sudden they stopped collation. They said they will resume by 4 o'clock. 4 went to 5, 5 went to 6, 6 went to 7, 7 went to 9. At the middle of the night, when witches and wizards used to operate, they announced the results. In Kaduna State, Nasarawa State too, the same thing. I don't understand this INEC rec people and this electoral law. You see that we have one law for Kaduna and we have another one for Ogun State because I've seen a situation whereby they announce. I've seen a situation whereby when the number of council votes and council places is more than the margin of lead, and all of a sudden they cancel for one seat, another thing they not cancel. If that goes to court, at the end of the day, if the person did not get his mandate, what do you think will happen? How do you think people will feel?
Okay.
Thank you for asking. So, like Nasarawa State is still in contention. People are still protesting in Nasarawa State.
And Kaduna too.
And you can be sure that the people that are protesting are the people supporting the person that was not declared winner. Now, I will use the Abia example to paint a picture, and I hope that the commentator will pick some fact from that. In the Abia situation, you had Labour Party leading by 90,000. Let's just say 90,000. About
93,000.
Let's say 90,000. And then there was a local government outstanding. The total accredited voter from that local government was 30. Right. There was nothing anybody could do. Labour will win that election. Now, for discussion's sake, let's say that the number of accredited voters in that single local government was 120,000. It means that despite the fact that as at the time all the other local government, I don't know how many they are, let's say there are a total of 20, 19 have been announced, and Labour was leading.
16 was announced.
Okay, so 17, let's say 16 have been announced, and from that 16, Labour was leading by 90. But there was one that has not been announced, that one has 95,000 voters. It means that election could still flip to the other side
because you have 120 accredited voters
from that other side.
As much as Mr. Bola,
so you could be celebrating as a Labour Party person in Abia that you are leading with 90,000 votes. By the time they release the result of that single local government that has 120,000 voters, things could flip.
So let's also take example of the Supreme Court case with the Imo State, right? Where because of the areas where election...
Let's understand that one. Okay.
You know how that result was overturned now? What the Supreme Court said?
Some cancellations that were done by people who are not duly authorized to cancel elections.
And was assumed to be votes for that were added to
the other guy,
the announced governor, the number 4 man who now becomes the governor.
Units.
So few, it's okay whether it's few or not, but we're assuming that the results that come from all of those places this court assume that the results from all of those places should
count
be
for
ceded
that
to
other
him
guy
because it is a stronghold.
It's stronghold, and I think there was something about the fact that they got copies from the police. Don't forget that the electoral law expects you to give a copy of the result at each PU to the security agent that is there. You know, and that based on whatever they were able to collect from the police, they could say most of those votes belong to this guy. But it is a fairly it is not, you see, that particular judgment of Imo State, me, I don't understand that.
That's
so and I'm not going to pretend that.
So the reason I'm visiting that case is because, is there really a possibility that in an election, an entire number of votes, a block vote from a particular local government, will go to one candidate?
It is possible. If the candidate has a place where he has a stronghold, not an entirety, but a majority. So you could have now even we have entire states where a particular party had 95% of the votes.
Yes, it's true.
It is a possibility.
All right, so I hope that does answer your question. Thank you so much for calling us. And so Dennis says His Excellency Peter Obi was a humble man and he did not behave like a godfather. That is why these new politicians were belittling him. Even the PDP and the APC knew his worth. And then Odogu Odi says INEC chairman and the president-elects had it well planned. I'm not going to read further. Praise Nell says, Oga, you didn't. Okay. INEC has already called a winner before the aggrieved people went to court.
In which case is it?
Presidential.
We're talking about, what.
INEC had called the winner. INEC had called the winner.
Live versus Studio Production says, why are you afraid of calling MC Olomo's name, Oga? You are not any way different from the police force that was afraid of arresting him.
I know, we know now.
You just talk freely like that.
I don't want to make anybody sue me unnecessarily now.
Let me go back to the phone lines. I hope you're satisfied with your answer now that you have forced him to reply to you. All right. Hello, good evening.
Hello, Balamo, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Mecca speaking from Okota.
I hail you,
You're
sir.
welcome.
Nigerian problem is personal interest. The woman in Abia, what percentage of Nigerians will behave like that? Years back, when God was not a Nigerian, but things was good. If, for instance, Emeka has not been working, Emeka starts working today. December, he goes back to his father's house with a jeep of 20 land, start to build a house. His father, after coming back, will call him. How many did you get this car? This morning you want to start to build here. How many did you get it? If it's not the office you are working that gave it to you, your father will drive you and that your car away from his house. Is it happening today that God is a Nigerian?
It is happening.
We have to go and do Thanksgiving this Sunday. Is it not? No, it's the percentage.
Yes.
That is why I say it's not happening. The percentage.
Extremely low. Extremely low.
Years back in Igbo land, the people that used to be chairman of family meeting, village meeting and community meeting, most of those men cannot pay their family. But these guys will go to, because they have known themselves, they will go to Emeka, come and be our chairman. Because they know what is being installed in that man. But who are the chairman today? We are in a big problem. We keep using prayer, deceiving ourselves with prayer to save ourselves. If without external guardian, you people have home, this studio is not your home. Can you present this program without external gadget? If you keep on praying and fasting, will it be possible?
No.
We should stop deceiving ourselves with prayer. Nigerians pray, but is it visible in our character? We should go back home and start impacting good morale to our children. That is how to make a better society. Let me stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Bolaha, you see this thing he said? Interestingly, I have been working for over 20 years. I told you I've been in broadcasting for about 21 years now. So even while I was a student, I was working. And my mother, that I pay her bills now, that even lives in my shelter, that I feed and nurse, I cannot buy a thing with my money and come into the house. Like maybe I buy a new car or I change a new phone and she knows I've been broke.
And she no go ask
without
questions.
asking me. She say, come. She say, hey, come here. That's my father's name. She calls me by my father immediately. Come here. How far? How did this one happen? Where did you get the money from? So I'm wondering, do parents still do this?
No.
My sister cannot testify to this. You cannot bring any alien thing home. Even at your level, low, that you're the one taking care of her. And she knows you have credible jobs without her asking you, where did this come from? And then you now have to start narrating, okay, so it was this deal I did in this job, and then I saved you some money to say, okay, you would. She has to understand
where all this. Yeah, that.
And a part of me goes, because I can't have my kids bring a pen that I know that is not part of this, not the colors of pen I buy for them back home. I will ask you. I have a child who's a pen collector. And all the pen I see, I don't know if you ever have a child who's like, there are kids who are crazy about pens. So I have a child who's a pen collector. And whenever I see how he does it, where is it? She starts explaining. So this, my friend in my class gave me this one. So this is the one he gave me. This was from a party pack. And this, you have to explain how the pen came about. Because this is how it starts. So do we still have parents, anyway, sorry for digressing.
Like 90% of the parents we have today will not be bothered. And we have seen how that has impacted the streets with all the Yahoo
Society.
Boys and the drug people all over the place. People are married to kidnappers, and they tell you, and some of the kidnapped victims were kept in the house, and they will tell you they didn't know. We have a situation in which people are married, and you ask them what their husband does, and they don't know. They say business. Yes, it is business. But what kind of business? Okay, he sells floor tiles. What exactly? And they've never, for some of them, they've never been to the office before.
And nobody questions their source of wealth.
They are only, what they are concerned about is that he's a provider. The man comes home and he gives money, and that is all. So what he does, you don't bother. That is the kind of society we have today, where parents are forming an association of Yahoo mothers.
I was going to say that, but I just respected myself and I held back.
So what more?
All right, let me run through some messages that we have. I have quite a number of them. Good evening, Precious. I am Ekene from Agege. I categorically told you that with the current system in Nigeria, Nigerians can't progress because many Nigerians believe on bad things as good things. That's what he says. Portable Precious. Good. There's no name people will not give me in this Nigeria. Okay. Good evening. I love Bola House so much. He is always on point with all his analysis. Please, I want to adopt him for a governor for my state, Anambra State. All the way from. Is he Ogun now that you're?
I'm from Osun. Incidentally,
all the way from
the place I stayed the longest in the east was Anambra. I worked in Anambra State. Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. So Anambra State, they want to adopt you as governor. So can I adopt him as my governor in Anambra State? We need real people like him. God bless you. Chris from the Kento sent in that message.
And
then good evening, VOP. The unimaginable will happen in Nigeria. Evil must not continue making people to suffer. Just watch the Almighty God do everything. God.
We cannot outsource our responsibilities to God.
Yes, so I wanted to say
the one way don't give us, we go do them.
All right, so Tony Anele from Ijegamo says, Lady Precious, please help me in this research. Are the framers of the contentious section of the Constitution living or all dead?
Some are living.
Okay.
In fact, there was a live program in which one of them sent a message to the presenter on that program,
what did he
and
say?
the presenter read.
Concerning the FCT, and what was the reaction? I'd like to know.
What he said was that the intention of the law as drafted by them was not to treat Abuja as special.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But all the same, even he, being part of the drafters, is not authorized as an interpreter of the law. It is
Absolutely.
Still the
judiciary that will interpret that. Absolutely. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah. And then moving forward to that question, it says, if there are any living, can they save Nigerians this embroglio by speaking out on their intention regarding the 25%?
It's not a one man, no. Don't forget to. For example, the person wake up. Don't forget saying a woman.
So you never knew the right ones. He said before things go awry, though the ruling party's victory in Port Harcourt was a result of planned reciprocity between Wike and APC, Nigerians know that the result of the presidential election in the state should have been different. That is in Rivers State. If Wike and his cohorts did not out-muscle the teeming electorates. That's what he said. Tony from Anile. Do you believe that? I just ask you.
In my opinion,
you know, right now you're for everybody and for nobody.
There has been no election in Rivers State for a long time. In my is a personal view. You may disagree with it. 2015. I still remember vividly the comment from the observers of election in Rivers State that here, forget it.
So I interviewed an APC chieftain back in the days, and in one of my programs, and Tony Prince precisely said in Rivers State, we write results. We don't count. He said
these are well known now.
I can quote him because that video is still there. He says we don't count results in Rivers State. We write results. And he says, quote me, he's Chief Tony Prince. I mean Prince Tony Princewell. So you know him. He said that. All right. So this person says, honestly, this your analyst is so sweet. Are you sweet like that? He says he is my in-law. I'm a Deltan, married an Otan lady from Oshun. Very nice people.
Otan lady, interesting.
He's a very nice people. Andrew from Ajo.
That's a nice one. Thank you.
Thank you. So before I let you go, Mr. Bolahon, the presidential candidates of the NNPP had said that the president, Muhammadu Buhari, did not do enough to ensure a credible electoral process. I'd like to get your reaction to that.
I think he did his bit. That would be my own. Okay. He gave us an electoral law. Well, people will say, oh, he should have given us in 2019 that it is now that it is no longer contesting that he gave us. But the bottom line is that he gave us. Whenever INEC say, I need money, he told them to prioritize INEC money. INEC cannot complain that I did not get money. So, what more do you want him to do as an individual? I believe he has played his part. But Nigeria still did happen to us. In those areas, was
Nigeria happening to us?
In those areas where things failed. And the main thing, most of the grievances we have today that we talk about today might not have been on the table if that transmission had happened. There might have been some other grievances, but the complexion will have been different.
So people like to reach out to you on social media. Are you in any way in social media?
Charles the Analyst.
Charles the Analyst on social media.
And they are D spell as
on
letter
Twitter
D.
or Instagram? Which
Twitter.
Twitter. Charles D Analyst as letter D Analyst on Twitter. All right, my name is Precious Enyi. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Bolahon. I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you for always obliging me whenever I call you. Thank you, Lagos, for joining in this conversation. We appreciate you for giving us 2.5 hours of your time exactly. Now, if na money I go the counter, this time is money I cannot even pay. Thank you so much, Lagos. My name is Precious Enyi. On social media, Instagram, I am at Precious Enyi Official. Enyi spelled ENYI, and it is together. So Precious ENYI Official together.
Precious
Twitter,
my friend.
yes, Precious my friend. It means friend, though. In case you don't know, it means Precious my friend. And when you meet my dad, he'll tell you, I'm your friend. My name is, I'm your friend. I'm Mr. Enyi. I'm your friend. You know, he says that. And of course, on Twitter, I am at Precious_Enyi. Precious_ENYI. We'll do this Monday to Friday from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. So join us again on Monday as we do this. And she is the producer and my co-presenter.
I'm blushing.
So she's in charge of all of the topics and all of the things and inserts and voice bites to her.
So I'm Promise Lagos and Zinifab on Instagram. See you on Monday.
See you on Monday. I'll be leaving you with